There is a kind of silence that doesn't heal. It doesn't soothe. It weighs. It is the silence that remains after someone leaves, or after you finally walk away. The silence where there are no voices left to blame, no one to impress, no story left to defend. And it is there, in that uncomfortable stillness, that a brutal realization emerges. It is possible to live without people, and in some cases, to live better. The world trained us to believe that belonging is oxygen, that without others we suffocate, that solitude is failure. But look around, honestly. How many lives have been ruined by this belief? Marriages maintained out of fear, friendships sustained by obligation, families that operate like prisons with surnames. We are taught from childhood that we need others to be whole. But what if this idea is not just wrong? What if it is corrosive? What if it is a systemic lie that trades freedom for warmth? What if it hijacks autonomy with the promise of human closeness? In Medea, Euripides tells the story of a woman betrayed and discarded, who kills her own children to wound the man who abandoned her. It is a myth, but it is also a mirror. It shows what humans become when they place their entire existence inside another person, and that person fails. This video is about that rupture, not a glorification of isolation, not a cult of ego, but something far more dangerous and rare. The deep, unsettling joy of not needing anyone, of not being in debt to any presence, any affection, any gaze. We are going to explore what happens when the lake fills again, when, like the fish in Zhuangzi's parable, we no longer need to lick each other's wounds to survive. The freedom of not needing, that is what we will exhume now. But be warned, those who listen carefully rarely return to thinking the same way. First came the heat, then the dry wind. The lake withered quietly, like an old animal giving up its breath. In the ancient kingdom of Chu, a drought turned water into cracked earth. The fish, orphaned from the lake, dragged their bodies across the burning mud. They gasped. They convulsed. The only act left to them was grotesque and intimate. They passed saliva to one another to keep their gills wet. Zhuangzi observed this scene. He admired the solidarity, but he was not seduced by it. He asked a question that echoes through centuries. Would it not be better if the lake were full? This is the parable of the full lake. It is about what binds us when necessity rules, and what changes when necessity disappears. For most of human history, we were fish in shrinking puddles. People clung to one another not out of virtue, but because death was the alternative. Community was mud. It kept us alive, but it kept us stuck. From this emerged a myth we still carry, that togetherness is inherently sacred, that dependence is love, that the collective heals. Zhuangzi planted a quieter heresy. Perhaps the true good is not needing the other, but being able to choose the other, or not. Today, the lake is largely full. Technology, infrastructure, medicine, and comfort, unevenly distributed, yes, have created a world where survival no longer depends on constant human proximity. And yet many still live as if stranded in mud. They maintain relationships out of fear. They confuse need with love. They call loyalty what is, in truth, emotional hunger. The full lake does not eliminate affection. It transforms it. In a full lake, fish may swim together, but they do not need to touch to survive. They have choice. And this is the central lesson. The end of necessity is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of freedom. You are not ungrateful for not needing anyone. You are free. And freedom, at times, is more generous than any forced embrace. At this very moment, millions of people are living, for the first time, without depending on anyone. Some feel loneliness, some feel terror, others feel an unfamiliar relief, but all of them are finally swimming. True freedom begins the moment you realize you don't need anyone. And that realization is terrifying. Because everything in our culture, religion, music, advertising, marriage vows, insists that emotional independence is emptiness, that to need no one is to live poorly. But what if the opposite is true? What if dependence is the most socially acceptable addiction civilization has ever normalized? What if attachment is, as Krishnamurti suggested, fear disguised as love? Let's be precise. Being alone does not mean being empty. It means being complete. Society trained us to confuse presence with wholeness. But Pascal warned us centuries ago. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He was not advocating isolation. He was diagnosing inner poverty, the terror of silence, the horror of having no one to distract us from ourselves. This fear keeps people trapped in loud, fragile, performative relationships. If I need you to not collapse, I do not love you, I use you. If you are my ground, my air, my reason to exist, then I do not exist. That is not love, that is servitude. True love requires independence. Simone Weil, both mystic and philosopher, wrote that pure love sees the other as they are, without the desire to possess. But that is only possible when we do not need the other to save us. This is why solitude is feared. It is the authenticity test of the self. It reveals whether your choices are truly yours or merely echoes of external expectation. Nietzsche was merciless here. For him, herd morality, rooted in dependence, approval, and living for others, was spiritual poison. The free spirit must be able to stand alone. The Übermensch does not need others, and because of that, he does not manipulate, beg, submit, or humiliate himself for affection. Here lies the paradox. The more you need people, the less you are capable of loving them. Einstein once said he felt a deep social responsibility paired with a radical emotional distance from those around him. Not coldness, freedom. The same freedom that allows thought, creation, and contribution without contamination by the need for approval. This is not an argument for isolation. It is a diagnosis. Only those who can be alone are ready for real relationship. Because they enter by choice, not by hunger. Emotional dependence is a romantic lie. Maturity begins the moment you stop needing. When you can sit alone, unobserved, unsaved, and say, I am enough. From there, every presence is a gift, never a crutch. We want to belong, and in belonging, we disappear. This is one of the cruelest contradictions of being human. Community promises warmth, but demands conformity. It offers protection, but enforces surveillance. Adapt or vanish. The desire to belong is real, biological, ancient. But what does belonging cost? The village, the family group chat, the closed workplace, all operate the same way. Peace is fragile. Freedom is conditional. Deviation is punished, subtly at first. A different tone, an absence, a refusal to laugh. The group reacts. Jung wrote, upon marriage, that he could only artificially recover the terrifying and beautiful feeling of solitude. Even love extracts autonomy. The closer the community, the stronger the control. Sartre said hell is other people, not out of hatred, but because to be seen is to be reduced. The group turns you into an object. Schopenhauer observed that people obsess over others' opinions without realizing how irrelevant they are to happiness. But few endure that realization to the end, because living without approval is emotional heresy. So people perform, they smile, they censor themselves, they swallow truths to remain included. Drama is not an accident of relationships, it is their symptom. Where there is need, there is demand. Where there is demand, there is conflict. The psychological data is clear. Relationships rooted in dependency are more volatile, not because there is less love, but because there is more fear. Fear dramatizes everything. How many tolerate subtle abuse because they cannot afford to lose someone? How many betray themselves silently to remain accepted? Belonging is often mistaken for safety, but groups do not protect, they shape. And sometimes the price of protection is your singularity. The courage to leave the mud and swim alone is rare. But sometimes peace is not at the communal fire. Sometimes it is in the closed room, in the silence where no one is watching. Across the world, a quiet scene repeats itself. Someone leaves a long relationship, sits alone on the floor, and smiles, not from happiness, but from relief. No explanations, no negotiations, no performance, just absence. To outsiders, the end looks like tragedy. To the one who left, it is the first taste of freedom. Relationships born from necessity are fragile. They are reactive, fear-based, conditional. And fear is not love. The radical shift of our time is simple. What was once mandatory is now optional. And choice changes everything. In the past, solitude was social death. Marriage was survival. Dependence was structural. This was not romance. It was necessity. Today, we no longer need each other. And because of that, we can finally meet. Power is not domination. It is not needing. Culture resists this truth. It calls emotional autonomy decadence. But perhaps it is maturity. Presence is no longer currency. Only desire remains. Yes, solitude increases, but it clears the ground for real connection. Love born from desperation is hunger. Love born from autonomy is choice. And only those who can stand alone can choose honestly. Everything else is negotiation. Being yourself has a cost. You will lose people. That is the price of truth. You cannot be whole and universally accepted. Society is theater. Roles are rewarded. Masks are applauded. But there comes a moment when applause costs too much. At that point, you either lie or leave the stage. The courage not to be loved is the final test of freedom. It is easy to be loved when you adapt. Easy to belong when you disappear. Hard is choosing truth without an audience. The free are often lonely, not because they reject others, but because they refuse to abandon themselves. Nietzsche understood this well. To live as a free spirit is to create values without witnesses, to accept misunderstanding, to risk solitude. Not needing anyone does not mean rejecting love. It means refusing to distort yourself to earn it. In the end, not being loved is a risk, but being false to be accepted is a sentence. And the quiet joy of not needing people is this: you remain intact, in presence and absence, affection and silence, praise and rejection. That is freedom. And it is not warm, but it is real. If this video stayed with you longer than expected, if something here unsettled you, named a silence you've been carrying, or simply made you feel less alone in your independence, then it already did its work. By watching until the end, by returning, by letting these ideas breathe inside you, you're already supporting this channel more than you might realize. That matters, truly. But if you feel a quiet resonance, a sense that this space speaks a language you rarely hear elsewhere, there's a way to go deeper. Becoming a channel member is not about status. It's about keeping this kind of content alive. It gives you access to deeper reflections, early releases, and a closer presence behind the ideas, while allowing this work to remain uncompromised, slow, and honest. And if one specific video touched you, challenged you, or helped you sit with yourself more clearly, using super thanks is a simple way to say, "This mattered to me." No pressure, no obligation. Watching, liking, and sharing already helps more than most people think. But if you choose to support, you're not just contributing financially. You're helping build a space for thought, silence, and depth in a world that rushes past all three. Thank you for being here.